So you are meant to lose money, but how to win over them understanding what's really going on. They told you to invest, but what they're hiding from you. You ever sit down and after market loss and think, but I did everything right. You studied the chart, you followed the trend, the analysis made sense, and yet you still lost money. Yeah, you are not even wrong here. You did everything right, except for one thing. You forgot the history behind the money you are trading. See, every move in the stock market, every rally, every crash, it's not just about the companies or earnings. It's about the story of gold and the dollar and how those two have quietly controlled everything from inflation to interest rates and to the mood of every investor on the planet. And before most people even realize it, their money is already gone. Not because the market tricked them, but because they did not understand what's really moving the string. So after reading thousands of the comments and hearing people ask, why am I always late to the move? Which made me actually decide to make this video. A video that takes you back through the real history of money, of gold, and of dollars, of power. So you can finally use the pattern that shape everything we trade today. So what you need to do is just stay with me till end, because once you understand what I'm about to show you, you will never look back at chart, a Fed meeting or gold price the same way again. Most traders lose money not because they are bad at analysis, because they are fighting the wrong enemy. They think the market is their opponent. It's not. Your real opponent is the monetary system itself, a system that's been designed, adjusted and rebalanced for over a century to protect trust, not the traders. When gold moves, it's not reacting to a news headline, it's reacting to confidence or loss of it. The same dollar you used to buy a stock, it's backed not by gold anymore, but by belief. As history shows, is the most volatile assets in the world. Let's rewind back, okay? 1971, Richard Nixon ends the gold standard. Okay, for the first time, the US dollar is no longer tied to gold. It's tied to trust in the US government. The one decision reshaped the global finance, the stock market boom of the 80s, the dot-com frenzy, the housing bubbles, the crypto era, all of it built on paper confidence. But here is the thing. Every time that trust weakens and when debt surges, when the Feds print more money, when inflation rises, gold starts flashing like a warning light on the dashboard. It's the world's oldest signal that the system is under stress. Now look at what's happening today. Gold at all-time highs, right? So the dollar index slipping. Central banks buying more gold than any time in the last century. That's not just random thought or random thing. Every time gold surges, it means one thing. The world is losing faith in current system. It's not just about jewelry demand or shiny metal. It's about protection. From policy mistakes, from inflation, from uncertainty. When the Fed raises rates too fast, markets start shaking. When they cut too soon, inflation returns and gold thrives on that indecision. So it's not rebelling against the dollar, it's actually exposing it. Let's talk about the Fed for a while so you will understand all this gold market and the trade. The institution that every investor blames and yet still follows them religiously. So for many years I have watched this play out like a clockwork. The Fed raises rates to fight inflation, the market start panicking, and then they pause. They cut rates to save growth and then suddenly boom, new assets bubbling. Every single time we lived in a world built on cheap money. Companies grow not just because they innovate, because the cost of borrowing is low. When that changes, when interest rate rises, everything slows. Stock, housing, hiring, confidence. And what do people do when they stop trusting growth? They go back to the oldest safe haven, which is gold. Now, here is something the news doesn't talk about enough every day. The dollar global dominance. The thing that made America's financial empire is slowly slipping. 2 decades ago, the US dollar made up over 70% of global reserves. And today, it's barely 58%. Why is that? Because countries like China, India and Russia have started buying gold instead of hoarding US dollars. They are not batting against America, okay? They are hedging against dependency. So after sanction and trade wars, the message was quite clear here. Whoever controlled the dollar controlled the system. So now nations are trying to build their own safety nets and gold in their common language. Here is where it gets more interesting for me. Every generation creates its own form of gold, like ours is Bitcoin. Just like gold in the 90s, Bitcoin was born from distrust, right? So a response to financial system people felt were unfair, or you can say manipulated. Bitcoin doesn't care about interest rates or politics. It's code, not confidence. So that's why institutes are quietly adding it to next to gold, not instead of it. So because both assets represent the same thing, a hedge against human error. And if you understand that, you start seeing Bitcoin and gold as a part of the same story, not two different worlds. So what's the plan? If you are watching this and wondering, what should I do when gold hits records and the dollar wobbles? The way I see it here, okay? Smart investors aren't going to chase rallies. They are balancing most often portfolio. They are keeping like 10 to 15% is hard asset like gold, silver or Bitcoin, and 50 to 60% is productive equities, companies with real cash flow, not hype. So 20% in defensive plays like healthcare, utilities, essential, and the rest, cash, for opportunity. So, because in the market like this, patience pays more often than our predictions, or maybe market predictions. You might think like you're losing money, maybe you're a bad trader, but you are not losing money because you are bad trading. You are losing because you are playing a game that started long before you were even born. A game written by politicians, bankers, and economists. But powered by belief. So the rise of gold, the fall of the dollar, the birth of Bitcoin, they are not just financial stories anymore. They are human ones. They're real what we trust, what we fear, and what we chase when everything feels uncertain. So before you enter your next trade, ask yourself, am I betting on price or am I betting on trust? Because at the end of the day, that's what every market and every crash and every boom really comes down to.